I was down typically whenever I had a flare-up, as I used to call it, where what the symptoms I'd get is my head would go like completely dizzy and my heart rate then would go a bit crazy. And I'd have to urinate every 15 to 20 minutes. Professor Risa Pretorius and her team in Stellenbosch University, they got involved with COVID testing, where everyone was saying it was a respiratory virus. They picked up in lab testing, I think it was by accident, I'm not sure. I'm sure my doctor's sick and tired of seeing me walk in her practice.
Hi, and welcome to Khobe's Health Sanctuary podcast, partnered with Rare Disease. We're very happy for you to listen, to watch, and of course, to follow, to like, to subscribe. And of course, just repost. The podcast is about health matters, which is what we find very important in the day and age where we live today, because there's so many things which are changing. I mean, you look at it from a perspective of the foods that we eat, the genes, the DNA, our lifestyles, our habits, our patterns, our behavior, the people who are surrounding us on a daily basis, the family. Do we have family support? Do we have friends? Do we have somebody who wishes to just spend time with us and say, I have an ear to listen. You know, I have zest of love to give you. I have this passion about health matters that I want to know about your condition, your health in general, because I'd like to support you. I'd like to spread the awareness. So be one of those people who can actually do that for us as you are following us on the health podcast, which we have initiated with Rare Disease South Africa. We are talking about matters which affect individuals living with rare diseases conditions. And these conditions, they vary from one person to another. And some of them, they don't have the specific diagnosis in terms of what it is that a person, an individual, is actually battling, struggling, and grappling with. And some of these rare diseases, they do have the names, and some of them, the patients, they're still waiting for the healthcare professionals to come up with the specific diagnosis. So you can imagine how frustrating it is for an individual living with a rare disease condition, but now they've been told that they don't have the name yet because the healthcare professionals are still conducting the research. There's a lot of work which goes behind it. So we are happy that you're following us, that you are traveling with us on this journey of rare disease, where we interview different individuals who present different symptoms. The symptoms varies from, it could be migraine, it could be stomach ache, it could be losing eyesight, hearing ache, it could be anything. It could be a skin rash, it could be neuropathy, it could be, literally they differ. And I won't go on and on, because that's why we have the guests, so that they can tell us about these rare disease conditions they're living with on a daily basis. And one thing that I'd like to say as well is that since I've started this journey of interviewing the guests, it's very mind-blowing, because these names, which they've been diagnosed with, they're very different. And kind of like when you think about it or look at what the name is all about, you're like, they're very, I'd say, complicated, and they come with different various symptoms. So today I'm very happy. I have a guest which I've been looking forward to actually interview since last August. Craig, welcome. I'd like you to please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hi.
And tell us who you are.
Hi, thanks. I'm Craig Nicholson from Joburg. I'm a rare disease sufferer, yes. Recently diagnosed, 2 years.
Recently diagnosed, fairly new.
Yeah.
So who is Craig? Let's start about you as a person. Who's Craig?
I'm a tech geek.
I like that.
I work in software development, facial recognition, actually.
Awesome.
So I do try and make this world a safer place.
Interesting.
Okay. And I used to love photography and all that kind of stuff, but unfortunately, that due to my rare disease, I am not able to participate in those kind of things anymore. Yeah. Life's changed quite a bit since I've been diagnosed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Craig, before he was diagnosed, full of zest, full of life.
I'd like to think so.
And then before you know it,
Yeah.
tell us about the moment when you started having this sensation and feeling and experience of what was happening in your body just before you were diagnosed. What was happening?
Well, it wasn't just before I was diagnosed. So if we go back to it, it was around about the beginning of 2023. I started just feeling off. It was like you commit to meeting a friend for breakfast who's out from Israel, for example, good friend of mine, and on the day you just can't go, just not feeling well. And you end up going to the GP, and the GP says, oh, maybe you got like a virus. Okay, you got some sort of bug. And it's like, oh, just stay in bed, relax, try not to do antibiotics and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this goes on for months. And then all of a sudden, it was September, 23rd of September, 2023. I was standing in Woolies with a roast chicken, and my heart rate hit 180 for no apparent reason at all, other than I was feeling off. Managed to get to my car that evening. I managed to drive home and ended up in hospital in the emergency room. First time ever taking an ambulance. Thinking my life was over, because like every time I sit up on the side of my bed, my heart rate goes from like 70, 80, all of a sudden to 140, 150. Don't know what's going on. Like that's just sitting on the side of my bed. Never mind standing up. So I ended up in ER. They wanted to send me home. And I was like, they said, oh, go see the cardiologist. And I'm like, no, sorry. It's a long weekend. Seeing a cardiologist, getting an appointment, not going to happen. It was a Friday evening. So I was like, okay, no. They managed to admit me. Cardiologist saw me Saturday morning, says, everything's fine with your heart, but we'll put you on a beta blocker. We'll do a sleep apnea test and all this other stuff. And get discharged on the Sunday. And I still remember taking an Uber home. And because I was very much, I didn't have a girlfriend at the time. And I take an Uber home, and on the way out of the hospital, I was actually almost falling over. And the doctors had no idea. They just thought my heart is going tachycardia. I got home, managed to get inside, climb in bed. And every time I try to climb out of bed to go take medicine, get water, go to the bathroom, my heart rate just climbed. Felt very alone and very, very confused. Like, what's happening? Doctors have no answers. And it continued that way. Thankfully, I have a great friend circle that helped out. I had a friend who came over and stayed with me and helped me, take me to appointments and that kind of thing, because I couldn't realistically drive in that situation. And that's when the process started. It was with the cardiologist. It's the only doctor I've ever had that's told me, hey, go Google it.
This is very interesting because all the symptoms are different from one person, individual to another. The loneliness, the sadness. From what I'm hearing, it's a good thing because you had a support system, having a good friend who can be there for you in times of need, in times of sadness, when you need to speak to somebody, when you're feeling very, very vulnerable, when you're feeling lost, and kind of like hopeless in a way because you're still at the very infancy stage of what is happening with your physiological body, especially because at this age you haven't been diagnosed. And how long did this process take before you could actually get to the point where you and the GP or the healthcare professional that you saw, the specialist, you could be diagnosed?
So that's the frustrating part, because from that point I didn't see my GP anymore. It was all the cardiologists, and it was ENT, because I went to sleep. I had sleep apnea, diagnosed with sleep apnea, so I had to go see an ENT because I had a nasal issue. I had to have surgery in October for my nose, and that got all sorted. So I'm now in sleep apnea, trying to solve the problem. I then pestered my cardiologist until he eventually admitted me for testing.
Okay.
Him and I'd had COVID previously, So I had a pulmonologist as well,
Oh, so for the
physician.
lungs,
So the two of them
yeah.
investigated and they ran some tests.
So lung and heart at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they also brought in the neurologist to do nerve conduction.
Brain. Wow.
Yeah, to
So
do nerve
3
conduction. Yeah.
specialists now.
Yeah, so 3 specialists in hospitals. It was a very good team. And they basically came out and they said, okay, diagnosis, we have one. You have POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Yes, it's a mouthful.
Quite mouthful. I saw it when I had to do the research on the diagnosis, and I was like, my goodness, very interesting.
So basically what happens is when I stand up, my heart rate goes up more than 30 beats per minute and my blood pressure doesn't adjust properly. So it can come from multiple origins, like multiple sources. One of them, the one they diagnosed me with is viral origin.
Oh.
Okay. So I'd had an infection, which my GP had assumed in the July, August, was just a viral infection. So that was naturally the logical thing. I was like, okay, you've had a viral infection.
Yeah.
You've now got POTS from a viral origin. So eventually then I was referred to the neurologist. After all the tests came back clear, I was then sent to the neurologist for a follow-up. And she did some more testing in the December. And she put me on some medication, all off-label.
So how many meds are you taking now?
Oh, well, at that point, I was newly on a cardio pill, and I was then on to Mestinon, which is an off-label thing for Myasthenia gravis.
Yeah.
Okay. I was on that for a couple of months, and then I switched to gabapentin, epileptin, and that dosage just ramped up. I think my final dosage was I was on 1,500 milligrams a day. So... yeah, that stuff makes you sleepy.
Yeah.
So I was taking a handful of pills in the morning and a handful of pills in the evening and trying to boost vitamins at the same time and all that.
Yeah.
And that's how we continued. And life, I tried to regain a bit of normalcy to life. And that was the hard part because I couldn't drive.
Yeah. And with what you've just shared with us, how did that make you feel as a person? Because how we feel on the inside in terms of us not feeling well, being ill, worse, being diagnosed with a condition which is life-threatening because you didn't anticipate this, to be told that it's a rare disease. Just the word alone, rare. It brings flight or fright. You know, mentally, what was happening in your mental state? I'm interested in the acceptance, in the denial, in the surrendering it into being, in terms of, okay, where were you at this stage?
In the December and the January, I had hope. So I came from the neurologist and I had hope with the medication. And then I went very sad. I got very sad, very lonely, very depressed. To be honest, I felt like my life was over. It was like the life I knew, even work, like I'd pushed work aside for months. And that's my livelihood. I work from home. Like I'm not even having to go to an office. I couldn't imagine having to get into an office ever again. So yeah, it was challenging. It was really challenging. And I say it was good that I had people in my life at that point who were able to support me a little bit and help me through. And then actually I discovered rare diseases. And the group, the Dysautonomia group, was eye-opening for me because I introduced myself and it was like, yeah, I have POTS and I'm a diabetic.
Yes. Let's start here. For someone who's listening and watching, how did you discover rare disease?
I think I discovered it online on Facebook or something like that.
All right.
I can't exactly remember how, but I remember joining up and the community was welcoming. I listed my condition and who I was in my introductory post.
Yes.
And other people introduced themselves and they were like, and I felt really guilty at that point because they listed off so many more acronyms and more conditions than I did. And I felt
why did you not list enough or say enough? Or
no, because I didn't have all these diagnoses.
Oh, so the guilt
I'm like diabetic and I have POTS.
So the guilt was within you feeling actually much better compared to
I felt I had it good. I was in a good place compared to them.
Did that lift your spirit from feeling hopelessness? I
wasn't alone.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
There's nothing which can beat the phrase that you've just mentioned when you're going through an illness, just knowing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Any challenge that we go through in life, just knowing that this is happening and of course it shall pass and I'm not alone, because when you're alone, that's when you become more vulnerable and very lost.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah. And it was also around that time my girlfriend came into my life, and she's been a fantastic sport, also with rare diseases herself.
Stunning.
And between us, we've been able to get through this. And as I say, my journey from there just even got more interesting.
Is it? Let's go back to now you've introduced yourself to the group. Now you're getting to know the dynamics of the conditions that you are living with as a collective, individuals, patients living with POTS, right? And what have you learned from them?
Well,
and what have you learned about yourself as well, both mentally and physically, in terms of, life now, which is the present moment, and of course going forward, because we're all futuristic individuals in terms of, is there hope, is there light for me tomorrow? What's the importance of me allowing myself to feel the way I'm feeling and going down, or changing how I'm feeling together with the meds that have been put on in terms of managing the treatment, the conditions that you're living with, and obviously being hopeful again towards your future life.
Yeah, it was interesting. Seeing what other people were going through and that they had hope themselves gave me hope.
Beautiful.
And even though I was like a fraction of who I was before, and I could do very little. I felt I was dependent on everyone around me. So I couldn't go to a doctor's appointment without calling up a friend to come over from the East Rand and come drive me through. Or actually, I would drive, but he would just be there in case something happened.
Okay, so you had that willpower to not to give up in doing.
And obviously that kicks in with anxiety. And then you have also the friends that go and say to you, oh, maybe it's an anxiety thing. And they're questioning the diagnosis because they don't understand it. At the end of the day, it's a constant battle, and finding hope and clinging onto the hope was the hardest part. And then also trying to understand my body as well, understand what triggered me, and reading what the other members in this autonomia group, what they were going through, and seeing what their triggers were and what their therapies were or therapeutic aids were.
Absolutely, because there's alternatives, there's
medicine's not
mental
everything.
health and
And I was really seriously considering I needed to see a psychologist. But at that point, I couldn't, because I couldn't get in the car to go to one. So you're feeling alone, you're trapped in your house, you're not going anywhere. I had friends who would come around and bring me food. And we would play board games, for example, because I was a big board game player. And I couldn't go to board games anymore because unless I had someone to drive with me.
Yeah. And this makes you feel dependent.
Yeah, dependent, and you feel left out.
Lose your freedom.
Yeah. After that, so it was a very tough start to the year, and figuring out triggers like I found 26 degrees temperature, for example, was a trigger for me.
Ooh.
So all of a sudden, then you have to have air conditioning installed in your house.
And we live in Africa.
Exactly.
Where we appreciate our summer and spring.
And we had the heat waves in that December and January. It was
so now
insane.
you're living indoors most of the time?
Yep.
Because of the condition of the temperature?
And you start making plans and checking, okay, is there air conditioning at the place I'm going to?
Yes.
You start using cold towels, cold rags that you can wet and make them cold. It's crazy. And you're living on bottles of water, drinking water all the time.
Endless.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the symptoms. If you were to mention to me 10 symptoms, which one would be? Because when I was going through, just the research on the condition that you're living with, there's so many, endless. Because someone is watching there thinking, oh, I may be taking this for granted. When is the right time for me to actually get a wake-up call and stand up and go and see a healthcare practitioner? Because sometimes we're resistant because there's so many alternatives that we'd like to consider before we can actually do that. And we think we're buying ourselves time, and that's when time actually defeats us.
Yeah, so the symptoms for me was getting up out of the chair, for example. You have a 60-60 delivery come, and you get the notification.
Yes.
Someone's at the gate. Okay.
Yes.
So you get up out the chair, and you get up too quickly. Like I had it the one time. I get to my driveway, I get the bag, I put it down because I feel like I'm going to pass out in the middle of the sun in the driveway, and you leave your groceries lying outside in your yard, and you're down for 5 to. I worked it out. I was down typically whenever I had a flare up, as I used to call it, where the symptoms I'd get, my head would go like completely dizzy, and my heart rate then would go a bit crazy, and I'd have to urinate every 15 to 20 minutes. Doesn't matter how much water I drank.
So it didn't have to do anything with you being diabetic?
No, not at all. Sugars,
Absolutely
monitored
not.
sugars, and that was all fine. It's like I'm quite a tech
Or the
dude.
excess of water that you're drinking, because you said
No.
you drink a lot of water.
Well, I ended up drinking a lot of water and putting a lot of electrolytes in the water as well. That's
okay. It helps.
That's the key thing. But that came later. So the initial symptoms were like I'd have this feeling of like feeling lofty in the head. Very nondescript way to describe it. It's very hard to still describe. And then it would follow by a headache, and I'd be down typically. I'd have to go lie down for about 5 to 22 hours.
Wow.
That's how long a flare-up would last for me. Until I started on the medication. And then the medication kind of helped. But it didn't solve the problem. And it's weird things. It's like the one day I was perfectly fine. We were out, so we popped into Woolies, and I picked up a roast chicken. I don't know what it is with roast chickens and Woolies with me.
They hear me.
I didn't take a basket, so I was holding the chicken on my chest near my heart.
It's warm and hot.
It was warm.
Yeah.
It caused me to have a flare-up in the line. So there I'm sitting at the teller with a heart rate going 150, 160, and then profusely sweating as well. It was crazy. It was the biggest thing was the anxiety that came as a result of the condition.
Yeah.
And the lack of confidence in being able to do anything. So when someone would say, "Oh, can we do this on Friday evening?" and I'd be like, "I don't know. Let me tell you on Friday afternoon." Because I don't know how I'm going to feel on Friday.
You don't want
So
to let anybody
I don't want to make
down.
plans.
Yes. Very different. So this has taken your freedom away. Freedom of work, of being productive, and of course the conscious self-confidence, the self-esteem, insecurity, and of course that avoidance and annoyance at the same time, because now you're relying on people.
Yeah. I'm not normally a person who relies on other people around me. But in the last 2 years, I've had to rely on those around me. And there's been some very good support in my friends and, my social circles.
Now, when it comes to the physiological, what did it do to your weight in terms of, you said you were unable to stand up? You would feel that your energy has been depleted. When it comes to your eating habits and patterns, does your condition make you eat more? Does it make you eat less? How does it make you feel? What symptoms associated with the foods?
So you mentioned earlier the fact that diabetes. So being diabetic, or a pre-diabetic actually, insulin resistant is more accurate. I would find that, like, I would try to do things like someone would say, "Oh, maybe it's too many carbs." People always have their opinions. So a friend will say, "Oh, you're eating too many carbs. Why don't you go more like Banting or keto?"
Yes.
So I do that. And then all of a sudden I'm like, every morning at about 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm feeling, okay, my head is like in the clouds. So I started, like I was measuring my sugars and that, and my sugars were going high. I didn't realize why, but my body was going into ketosis every morning.
Wow.
And then I was still eating carbs. It was weird. But I found something in this process as well, and that my sugar control goes completely out whenever I have any form of infection. So whenever I get the flu or the sniffles, whatever, my sugar control goes absolute bananas. And when I was diagnosed as diabetic by my GP as a chronic condition, I actually had a viral infection. Anyway,
So,
but these we learned. This we figured out. And it's the process from there. Because I think I need to explain the rest of, because I'm not just dysautonomic with POTS. So after having POTS for like a year, I went to the neurologist for my second follow-up. She did nerve conduction, and she's like, "Oh, you've got CIDP. Another long acronym.
I've seen it. Yeah,
Yes,
I know it.
chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy.
The minute you hear that, what comes to mind? What comes to your head?
Oh no, not another one. But I remember sitting in her rooms and I just had the test and she says, we need to get you onto infusions. Like immediately.
It's another level of education, of awareness, understanding, and acceptance.
Yeah, so I have to, so basically to describe for everyone else what it means is the medication was helping keep my nerve conduction working properly, my atomic peripheral nerves are working. But my immune system is attacking my nerves. Think about the myelin sheath, which is the insulator to the nerve for electrical current. Yeah. It was attacking it. So I had to start at a 5-day course in hospital of polygam therapy. And then every month thereafter go for a one-night stay in the hospital for polygam, which was not fun. Having other people's blood product put in your body.
Absolutely.
And let's complicate it.
So you had this on a monthly basis?
Yeah, I had to have it on a monthly basis. But
are you
it got
still
complicated.
On it now, or has it stopped?
No, we have had to pause it. But I was meant to be on it for a course of 5 days in the hospital and then a monthly treatment for 6 months. That was the first plan. Okay. But I only got to 4 months. Because
why is that?
In the process of this, the company that produces it in South Africa, out of Durban, NBI, National Blood Institute, they ran into a shortage.
Oh.
Due to some manufacturing problem. So there was this constant struggle of trying to book the appointment and for them, pharmacy and the hospital to find the stock.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And obviously this is not cheap either.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Discovery, I'm not sure I
was about to ask in terms of the finance,
picked up the CIDP and they paid for it all because I think the first stay was 250,000 Rand in hospital. Oof. Just for 5 days for the treatment. The medication alone is about 20 to 30 grand a day every time I go for a treatment. Which without medical aid, you could never cover it.
Your savings, yeah.
Yeah, your savings get wiped out. My savings last year were wiped out by March. My medical savings. Thankfully, this year I kept them up till August.
And this is only the third year since you've been diagnosed, right? Because
it
started in
2023. Yeah,
23. Okay.
End of 2023. So, so that was fun. Now, while I was also chatting with a neurologist, being a technical person and analytical, I wasn't happy with this. Like, why am I getting this other condition?
I'm glad you were asking the questions.
But I wouldn't have even got the POTS diagnosis originally if I hadn't bugged my cardiologist on WhatsApp like every day asking him, what now? What now? When are the results coming?
Yes.
Like
that anxiousness.
It was really bugging me. So I'd heard in the POTS group actually, online, on the Dysautonomia group on rare diseases, I actually chatted to one guy in Cape Town, a young guy in Cape Town. And he said, have you heard of Professor Risa Pretorius from Stellenbosch University? They have done some work on long COVID regarding microclotting in the blood. It's not medical aid approved or anything like that. So I got hold of them, and they only had the lab in Stellenbosch. And my plan was I discussed it with my neurologist, and she was like, yeah, let's go for it. But the problem was you could only do the blood draw in Cape Town, in Stellenbosch. So then it was a case of, now how do I get to Cape Town? I can't fly. If I have microclots, potentially, I can't fly. And other symptoms, just to give you a perspective of why I was scared of flying, I would go, for example, one day I went to get my eyes tested. And I went to Crest, and there was a very long escalator down, double-story escalator. I found that at the top of the escalator, my heart rate would be like 120. I'd stand on the escalator, get to the bottom, and it would be 165. Why?
Did you ever get the answer?
Well, no. Nobody knows.
Did you discuss this with your healthcare practitioner?
I did. None of them knew.
What did they say?
Don't fly.
Wow.
No, nobody knew.
So your life just get chopped up.
Yeah, so that limits your travel. So, work wanted me to travel to India. I say, sorry, due to medical conditions, health reasons, I cannot travel.
And is this for good? Is this permanent, or is it just temporary?
It seems that way. Well, I'm accepting it as permanent, but I'm hoping it's temporary.
It might change.
Temporary being maybe 5 years. We'll see.
Absolutely. Short term.
But see, things have been happening. So I was hesitant then to fly down to Stellenbosch or to Cape Town. So we were going to drive.
Could they not come to you?
Nope.
Oh, so you have to drive and be mindful of the temperature because your body does not.
Correct. So we tried to plan this and couldn't get it in. Eventually then, it was in June this year that I just per chance went to the Biocode website because they'd formed a company called Biocode.
Yes.
Biocode.co.za, and you could sign up for the test. So I went to look and they said, oh,
good.
Because I was checking to see where availability, trying to plan when I could go down to Stellenbosch, make a planned effort to drive. And I saw, they've opened a depot in Joburg.
How awesome.
I booked immediately. Okay. I spoke to my GP and I said, hey, I'm putting you down as the referring doctor, by the way, so you can send me the results.
You've obviously built a very good, close, patient.
Correct.
Healthcare.
Oh, you have to.
Relationship.
Because when you're going to the doctor all the time and saying, I'm feeling, I'm not feeling okay. then you have to have someone who's going to be.
And come up with suggestions and then, of course, have them being objected before you could literally just go forward with them.
So I went for the testing and I got the results back about 2 days later. And it says I have severe microclots. So I've got to get this right.
The question, is it common? What were you told when it comes to that?
Professor Risa Pretorius and her team in Stellenbosch University, they got involved with COVID testing. When everyone was saying it was a respiratory virus. They had picked up in lab testing, I think it was by accident, I'm not sure. They had picked up that it was they had the idea that it's a vascular virus. And they analyzed the blood and trying to see what it did to the blood, from what I understand. And I saw a YouTube video of this as well and followed up on it. There's quite a bit of discussion about this.
From different individuals from throughout the world.
Yeah, from throughout the world. And they'd seen it as a way of detecting long COVID in patients. So previously, long COVID has just been this idea, like a syndrome almost. It's like, you feel brain fatigue and fogginess and concentration issues and all of that. And anyway, basically, what they've detected in the blood is what they call misfolded proteins. Protein that doesn't belong in your blood. And I think it's 7 micrometers and up that they consider. 7 micrometers up to 40 micrometers. And they rate it in like how many they find in each different bin as such.
Yes.
So level 3 to 6. Now, most people have microclots the size that they call a level 1 and 2, which are much smaller. But these were bigger clots. And the problem with these is they can become blood clots that can be picked up. See, these won't be picked up by any blood clotting tests that we go, like a D-dimer. So when you go for a cardiologist, they run a D-dimer or your GP and they say, you have no risk of cardio issues or cardiac clotting and that, or thrombosis. But anyway, so they picked up these microclots and scored me quite highly. So the potential score was 0 to 16 and I scored a 13, which was significant. So that led me to, I have this diagnosis. I sent it to my neurologist. She says, well, maybe we'll think about a blood thinner. But very much non-committal, see you in 6 months kind of thing. We'll discuss it. I then sought out another cardiologist. So I found another specialist cardiologist who runs the depot up here in Joburg. Went to see him. He squeezed me in, urgently ran some extra blood tests.
So you constantly have to be curious and to be on the lookout and to be conducting your own research as much as you've been, I'd say, led and advised by the healthcare professionals, because now you're able to go back to them and be able to analyze what you've recently found out about from the internet, because you rely on the internet, obviously.
But I don't want to rely on the internet. I don't want to rely on the internet because there's so much misinformation there. Yeah. But you have to weed through it and think, what is right, what is wrong? So, so this cardiologist, specialist cardiologist, I don't know if I should mention his name. Dr. Mutara.
Yes,
Okay.
it would be helpful for someone who's listening.
Yeah, so
who's
Dr. Mutara from
following
the
through
Heart
your
and Wellness
story.
Clinic. Yeah, he here in Houghton.
Where are they based?
Houghton, Johannesburg, yeah. And he was the first one who gave me hope, because he sat there and he said, Craig, the patient that was in just before you, who wasn't obese like you are in diabetes, he had the same problem.
Wow.
He put me onto a sonar, and he checked my heart out, and he said, okay, well, turns out you have myocarditis and pericarditis. So basically I have, and it with a 9mm effusion. So basically I have liquid around the heart, which is preventing my heart from beating in my chest properly.
And the cause of it. That's what should interest us all listening to your journey.
So his assumption, let's put it that way, was that it's the microclots, because it makes your blood sticky. And the body injects this liquid around the heart to prevent the heart muscle from sticking to the pericardium, the sac. I hope I'm getting my medical terms right. I'm not a medical person, but I've learned a lot of terms.
And I'm like, it's actually so broad.
Yeah. So he diagnosed me with that, and he put me on a blood thinner and a whole bunch of other medications. And he actually said, okay, we want to take you off what you're doing, stop your polygam, and let's do this, and we'll see you in 3 months and see where we go. Now, the typical treatment for this that Professor Pretorius from Stellenbosch would typically use is a 3-way or 3 different types of blood thinners, which can cause bleed outs and that kind of thing. But apparently it's been very successful in getting rid of the microclots. Anyway, so that was the treatment. Part of his diagnosis as well was explaining where it came from. Because I wanted to know where. And he said,
good one.
Pfizer vaccine, COVID vaccine. And that started me on a whole new path. Nope. Started me on a whole new path. So mRNA. So the messenger RNA vaccine that Pfizer and Moderna both pushed. But anyway, we'll leave that for a while.
Yes.
Okay. So I start the treatment, and a week later I'm in hospital. Why am I in hospital? In an infection, turns out. I thought it was just a medication, a switch over from all the epileptin, the gabapentin and that. But it turns out to be I got an infection. Anyway, went into hospital, got solved in 2 days. Fine, thankfully. But I started presenting with some more symptoms.
On top of you just being told what is the cause of dysregulating your heart condition.
Yeah, so I've got a heart issue now.
Yes.
I've got POTS. I've got CIDP, and I'm still. And he determined I'm not actually diabetic. I'm pre-diabetic. Okay, insulin resistant. So okay, great. So then I start feeling lightheadedness during the day. So I'm sitting working, and by 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, my head is feeling like floaty. My sugars are fine. Everything else is fine. I'm doing my own diagnostic tests.
Yeah.
All good. And then the clincher kicks in, which is I start losing my vision. So my eyes start getting blurry. I can't see a screen anymore. If I can't see a screen, I can't work.
For how long?
Well, the rest of the day, typically.
Oh, flip. And you're alone. Did you have anybody with you at home?
I had my girlfriend with me, thankfully. But I can't work anymore.
Yeah.
So my productivity goes down completely.
And this is life-threatening now.
Yeah. And then I'm also wondering, okay, what's going on? Why have I got this pressure in my head? And then occasionally I get some headaches, and I'm like, is it maybe like a migraine? Is it like an aura? And then you start investigating and researching. So I asked my GP. GP says, see the neurologist. Ask my cardiologist. He says, see the neurologist. So I go to the neurologist. Okay, the neurologist here.
And the finance is not laughing as well during this entire process.
No, not laughing me, no. So I go see Dr. Smith, the neurologist, and she sends me for a brain MRI.
So it feels like you're starting afresh again, because already you've seen the specialist before. Yeah.
But now I've got more diagnostic treatment. So that was an endeavor on its own. So now I might be a little bit claustrophobic, so she prescribes me a sedative. So I take the sedative before I go. They get me there and they're like, sorry, we can't fit you in the machine. You're too big. Your shoulders are too broad.
Yeah. Flap. And you're anxious because you just want to get to the bottom of
I want to get
the
answers.
courses and answers.
So I end up going to another lab. And thankfully, they squeezed me in the same afternoon, so I didn't have to take another sedative.
Awesome.
Got the results on the Friday. It was 2 weeks ago. Heard from my neurologist only a week later. So the radiologist came back with a primary differential diagnosis of multiple sclerosis.
Craig.
So like here I'm tacking on these symptoms, these conditions.
It's like you're being attacked and your
Now they want me to go for lumbar puncture.
army is actually giving up on you.
Exactly. But I then consult my cardiologist and he says, don't worry about it.
In which sense, though?
Because what is multiple sclerosis? Now, I'm not trying to lighten multiple sclerosis, but they're picking up the brain stuff as multiple sclerosis. It doesn't explain why I get the pressure in my head and my vision loss.
Yeah.
That's still, the neurologist says, is open. We have no idea on that.
Wow.
But now multiple sclerosis has been detected. So the natural thing would be to get on a chronic and get treatment started and start some therapeutic support.
Yes.
But instead, I'm like, no, I'm not going to accept this because it's the same as CIDP or virtually the same as CIDP, but in the brain and the spine.
Back. Yeah.
So instead of my peripheral nerves being feet and hands and legs, it's now my brain and spine. So I start down the journey a little bit further and I follow the vaccine route. And that led me to, there's a very cool documentary video coming out of, I can't remember which country it is, but in Europe. It's called Inside the mRNA Vaccine. That opened my eyes. There are so many people out there in this world that are fighting these nondescript issues that are being diagnosed as POTS, CIDP, MS, and various other things.
My research led me to 70 million throughout the world.
I have no idea. That sounds
taken aback with the actual number.
Yeah. So my current analysis, root cause analysis, is that when I was injected either the first or the second time with the Pfizer vaccine, the vaccine made it into my bloodstream. It wasn't in my deltoid arm muscle like it was intended. Somehow, that might just be because they didn't use proper nurses to inject it. So they didn't aspirate when they injected. So they didn't pull back on the needle to make sure they didn't get blood.
Yeah.
They just inject because, it's mass injections, mass vaccinations.
That feeling, just that feeling, how did that make you feel?
Annoyed. Oh. I feel so let down by the medical professionals in South Africa because how do they approve
And you can imagine
this?
how many individuals now have been going through the same symptoms, but still they don't know. And
I think the only reason I know so much what I know is because I keep pressing and not accepting no answer, or I don't know kind of answers or hypotheses from doctors.
Yeah. And that's what keeps you going because you just become hopeful.
Yeah. So the theory behind this now is that the mRNA vaccine is still in my body, where it was meant to be short-lived to boost your immune system. It is actually still in my body. And how it works.
Yes.
So I say, watch the Inside mRNA Vaccines video because that gives a better description of it. But they use what they call lipid nanoparticles, which is basically cholesterol. Okay. They put the mRNA into the cholesterol. But it's not actually mRNA. It's modified RNA. Oh. Because they actually put they replace one thing in the messenger RNA with something else. Anyway, it makes it last longer. Okay. And they inject that into your deltoid muscle in theory. But it doesn't all go to the deltoid muscle. If it gets in the bloodstream, it will go to other cells.
So it swims along.
Yeah. So the other cells, depending on the flow of the blood in the veins, will end up absorbing this. And then I think it's the ribosome of the cell will produce the protein, which is the spike protein, which is how they train it. So basically the cell will present the spike protein after it's created it from the mRNA. So the mRNA is the instructions, like think of the recipe.
Yeah.
And the ribosome is the cook. and the cell is the plate kind of thing. And
Okay.
what it will do, it produces the spike protein, which the vaccine, which your antibodies in your blood or your immune system will attack and kill the cell and learn how to kill it. And therefore kill the bad cells, these in theory bad cells. However, if it escapes into the bloodstream, it will go to other parts of the body.
Of your organs.
Other organs will start doing it. So this could be the brain, the stomach. There's a big theory about the gut as well, playing a part. And effectively, your body keeps producing this.
So it's ongoing.
They're doing genetic modifications effectively to your body through DNA.
So recovery is not imminent. It's an ongoing cycle of new symptoms.
So like my cardiologist says, we're basically going to flush the microclots out to prevent the clotting issues. But how do you get rid of the spike protein? How do you get rid of the RNA?
Yeah.
So according to a bunch of scientists in Italy, they run a site called zerospark.org, and they say that the body, your immune system can't easily break down the spike protein. Like your liver can't break it down. So they recommend a thing called N-acetylene, a NAC basically.
Which is?
N-acetylene cysteine. It's a amino acid, I think it is.
Okay.
I'm not too sure. But it's a supplement over the counter, not even prescription. You take it and it in theory will break down the spike proteins and help your liver to digest or to dispose of it. But in my mind, it's like, why are the cells still producing this? Have they altered the cells permanently? Because now the cells will be destroyed by immune system. So this is why it's destroying good cells. This is why this is why you're getting brain fog. It's destroying brain cells. It can destroy hearts, lung cells. Now, apparently some of the
you could end up becoming paralyzed.
For sure. Yeah,
has happened. Yeah.
Well, you're losing your autonomic nervous system as well. So you're losing your myelin sheaths.
Yeah.
You're presenting all these other ailments, which the doctors are rightfully clinically diagnosing because this is what's happening to your body. This is what's presenting clinically. But there's the root cause. It's like, what is causing this? And this is where I feel let down by the medical industry because nobody's asking those questions. Especially as a quick
and we need those answers because that's what's going to help to educate and to help with the research in terms of finding new innovative ways of coming up with management for all these kind of different diseases.
Yeah, and I found that the doctors don't talk to each other. They stay in their own lane.
Love that. Love what you've just mentioned.
It's like you need you need someone who's going to bring them all together. You need the doctors to say, okay, I'm treating this patient for, like there might be even psychology involved, like a psychiatrist.
Absolutely.
Psychiatrist prescribes meds.
Dietitian, biokinetic, yes.
Should all speak.
Yes.
It should be a whole health picture, not just my
physiotherapist,
facet. Yeah.
Chiro, yes.
Yeah. So, because then you look at it from the other side. It's like when you start having issues with, like I said, after I changed medications, I started having what I thought were medication complications, like as in I was having withdrawals from gabapentin and that kind of thing. And then you start looking into things like, okay, what are the interactions between medications?
Yes.
So then drugs.com is your friend and you're having to go and say, okay, what are all the major interactions? And you send it off to your GP or your doctors and you say, can you look at it from a doctor's perspective and tell me, am I being insane? But there are so many interactions. Yeah. Surely I shouldn't be taking this many medications. And you even have to look at your vitamins.
The after effects as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And about to ask about the lifestyle changes. Where does this fit into place? Because for some it could help to alleviate the pain, the symptoms, perhaps not. Does it help? Does it work? What is it that you had to do to alter to be, you've mentioned keto already. Yes. What else did you have to introduce within your lifestyle
Yeah. So I introduced keto. I went back off it. I'm trying to eat normally.
Okay.
I'm told by my cardiologist, do not do exercise.
Do not.
Yeah, no, I mustn't do exercise. The most
Because
I can
you
do is
put the
chair
strain
yoga.
on. Okay.
Yeah, so I have to get the heart issue solved first
Yes.
before I can go further. So one of the catches with the microclots is they produce more. There's more microclots in your blood apparently related to sickness when you're sick
Yeah.
and when you're stressed. So now you got to keep your stress levels down.
Yes.
So exercise is a stressor. Everything's a stressor. Good stress, bad stress.
Yeah.
But what do you have to do? How do you live your life? So I've tried to just plod along. I have noticed I've lost a lot of muscle definition. I've lost a lot of control, let's put it that way. So from going to pick up a cup of coffee and your hand shaking uncontrollably for no reason, standing and all of a sudden my left leg just decides it's going to give away for a split second. And then you catch yourself and you're like, okay, that was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then never mind all the brain fog and not being able to remember what you said 10 minutes ago.
Oh my goodness.
But
So
I
it
say
just
every
keeps
day
on
it's
adding
different.
and adding, yes.
Yeah, every day is different. So at the moment, I'm just holding hope that the course I'm on is the right course. It's trying to find, hopefully this is the root cause
Yeah.
and it's not something else.
And it's the one that you've recently started this year.
Yeah. So this last little thing has been since July, July, yes.
So you've been on
Yeah,
it
couple of
for
months.
3 months.
Yeah, 3 months, yeah. So I got to follow up with the cardiologist soon. We'll see how it's going, if the microclotting has improved, and take it from there. And
Wow, Craig, good luck. With what you've just shared with us, other patients from your circle of the group, from the rare disease, could they be in agreement with some of the symptoms that you're struggling with? Are they going through the same? Because we spoke about, I'm not alone. I'm trying to come back to I'm not alone.
yeah.
All the symptoms that you were exposed to, every time you go to see a different specialist, you got told something different, then you were put on different medication management. Do they have them as well? Or
No,
with you,
very
it's kind of
diverse.
like unique because,
Yeah. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
So people with dysautonomia and POTS typically, from what I understand, it typically affects girls more and from a younger age. They've had it it's not vaccine induced. So mine is a case of, yes, I'm diagnosed with POTS. I'm diagnosed with CIDP. I'm diagnosed with MS. But that's just a specialist trying to put a label on something. Whereas it's, because they don't want to say it's the mRNA vaccine because they recommended it.
and
They're
how
told
many
it's
of us
safe.
have taken it?
Yeah,
Tons
most.
and tons.
Yeah,
And we're sick daily.
yeah.
Perhaps we don't even know what we have because we haven't been to see the specialist.
Well, the question is,
Or maybe there's
specialist-
symptoms are not that severe and extreme enough for us to actually be bothered to eventually go and see one.
It was like when I was changing the meds and I started feeling a bit weird and not feeling too great. I thought, it's just the meds.
Yeah.
I'm a South African. We tough it
Okay,
out.
right.
I don't just run to the doctor
Absolutely.
because I have a sniffle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just boost some Carenza and like,
You remind me of myself. I'll just say, you have what flu? Oh, Corinza works the best.
yeah, I'm sure my doctor's sick and tired of seeing me walk in her practice. It's
So
like,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
and
Because now you
yeah.
start dreading going there. Then you start going to that internet, the Google, which is not good for
No,
you
it's
once
not good.
again.
It's not good. And the other thing that's also quite annoying, I must say, so the diagnostic delay, and I know the rare diseases we talk about this quite often, is how long it takes to get a diagnosis. So I was quite lucky, actually. My pressing of my original cardiologist and my pulmonologist got me to a diagnosis pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have those initial tests and got to that diagnosis without that pushing. Because people take multiple ER visits. Like I've been to the ER many times in this process as well. But I don't think people understand how long and how painful it is when you're living with that uncertainty. So even, for example, when you get an MRI report back from the lab, and they tell you have multiple sclerosis, and you have to wait a week for your neurologist to get back to you.
And that seems too long.
And they send you an email and they say, maybe we should do a lumbar puncture. It doesn't leave me feeling good.
Absolutely. Anticipation, fear.
So when you look at your next doctor's appointment, you think, okay, I'm going to spend this money to go see the specialist. It's going to be maybe 2,000-3,000 rands with a blood test to go, maybe more actually, 4,000 rands with a blood test to go with it. And then you're like, do I want to do that? Yeah. Now, I know someone else who's not part of rare diseases who has a similar condition, very similar to me. There's a colleague of mine actually I work with. And that person has given up because she can't put her family through that and herself through this constant hope cycle, this I'm going to have an answer. So she's treating the symptoms.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
through the medical route or different alternatives?
Medical route. Yeah. Through a whole bunch of our own specialists and various advisors have advised her in that. But I share my updates with her as well, just to give her hope as well. So I kind of want to see that, like, I can beat this and get my story out there, so that other people who can see something similar, or even doctors who see patients, and they can say, oh, but there was a possible solution to this. Because I feel like I've caught it late. Because the problem is if this spike protein is doing this damage and the microclots are doing this damage to my system, I can't reverse the damage. Yeah. Because those cells don't all grow back.
Definitely not.
So it's not like a lung cell or something like that that is intended to handle viruses and that and can be killed and replaced. We're talking some functional things like heart muscle. And
it's a huge risk factor.
It's a huge thing, yeah. And where does it leave me? Does it leave me paralyzed? Does it leave me in a wheelchair?
What do other patients end up with from different countries based on the research that you have already gone through? Do we have successful stories, or are we still having many questions and dots?
I think there's hope. There's hope because when you see the other patients that, for example, might have been disabled and then have resumed a sort of semi-normal life. I think the biggest challenges that most people face are the medical costs.
I was about to say, throughout this conversation, I can imagine what it takes for a person who's not financially stable, not working, who does not have the financial support from family or from any institution, organization, or, in any other way. What does this do mentally, physically? Because it just paralyzes you before your own diagnosis could actually finish you.
And because it's so nondescript and so new, like POTS is not a recognized condition by medical aids. So there's no PMB benefits. So it's not like I kind of want to go to the doctor and like MRI, part of me sneakily said, find a brain tumor or something, or find cancer. Because at least then the medical industry will be behind me and there's recognized protocols and treatment protocols and diagnoses and support for it. But instead, they come up with something else.
Craig, we could speak forever, but because of time, we have to limit the session. And of course, because this is so broad and it comes with different symptoms, in future, I'd like to have you coming back again with other different patients who has different presenting issues, symptoms, so that collectively we can unpack it and continue to educate the listeners, the viewers, because this is the first in the country and we need to constantly keep learning and just educating ourselves and, because this helps us to ultimately take care of ourselves, because I always say we take care of many things, but when it comes to health, we only get a wake-up call only when a family person within our orientation is being diagnosed, or a friend, a colleague, a neighbor, somebody that someone that we're very close to, And tell me about what is the top 3 of your most annoyance as you're sitting here, still navigating this journey of endless diagnosis, which you keep finding yourself coming up with and being told most of the time when you come from seeing different specialists. What does it do to you? And what keeps you going? You mentioned that you have a very good family support, which is your girlfriend, of course. What keeps you going? What can you leave someone who's going through the same conditions as you right now, but who hasn't been diagnosed, who doesn't know because they don't know, or they're still waiting to be diagnosed and they're thinking perhaps I could be having similar diagnosis, Craig. What would you leave with them?
Firstly, that there hopefully is hope. I say hopefully hope.
Wow.
Push the medical practitioners, okay?
In terms of ask questions and do
Be
some
informed.
research yourself.
Yes.
Beautiful.
All the practitioner can tell you is, no, you got it wrong and this is why. Don't just accept a no.
Love that.
Okay? Question
I'm
it.
a firm
have
believer in that.
questioning mind and try bring your specialists to talk to each other. So, for example, I got my cardiologist to write down his diagnosis on a piece of paper and hand it to me. I took it to the
Yes.
neurologist. She read it and said, like, okay, when you see the cardiologist next, I'm seeing you after that.
Yes.
I'm going to have a chat with him before I see you.
Yes.
And we'll come up with a combined treatment plan.
Wow.
That to me was a step forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the third thing I'd say is trust in your support circle, your social support, whether it be family or friends, and understand that sometimes friends can also be in. People will go and they say, oh, but have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you seen my doctor? Okay. They all come up with
Out
this
of
thing.
caring.
Like,
Yes.
are you sure it's not anxiety? Are you sure it's not this? And you be open to them, understand they're coming from a caring place, but also be strong enough to say, no, I'm not going to just take what you say like, oh, it's
Yes.
anxiety, and then you end up on an anxiety med. Because, come on,
Yeah.
psychiatrists and that is keep popping anxiety tablets for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are, I think, the 3 things.
Wow. Craig, thanks for coming to the studio to join me today to talk and unpack the level of the stresses that you're going through on a daily basis, because often we just take life for granted.
Yeah.
The very simple, basic thing, we take it for granted because we feel okay, externally. And of course, internally, we kind of like self-diagnose ourselves without really, I would say, going and knocking at the doctor's door, because it does help eventually to give us a direction and a clear sense of what's happening within the status of our health. Thanks for sharing. And we're very happy for learning what you have shared with us today. And we'll continue sharing again through the podcast, as we're going to have many, many more guests with different conditions of rare disease. And thanks for watching. And hopefully you have learned something. And thanks, Craig. Don't forget again to click, to repost, to like, to subscribe. This is a new podcast, and we're raising the awareness within what health matters, which is the physiological body, a mental state, and of course, our mind and our spirituality, because we're part of that. And Craig, thanks again.
Thank you, Khobe.
This is Khobe's Health Podcast, Century Podcast, partnered with...
Retake.
This is Khobe's Health Century Podcast, having partnered with Rare Disease. Thanks for watching.